Always do that.
That's all right. That's good. It's fine. Let me see. I can't find us. I'm lost on here. Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay, there we go. Now I know where I am. Okay. I think that's good. Yeah. Okay, 202. Welcome everybody to this weekly non-duality Zoom with Don Garland and me. Thank you for coming, everybody. Please keep your microphones muted until invited to speak. This is being shared live on YouTube. So by asking a question, you are giving consent. We encourage you to raise your hand virtually after the brief introductions and ask your question by unmuting yourself and turning on your camera. Alternatively, you can just write the questions in the chat on YouTube or in the Zoom. This is for entertainment purposes only. And just want to say thanks again for everybody for coming and participating. Your questions and comments are encouraged. And with that, Don Garland will give us an introduction to non-duality.
Okay. So yeah, hi everyone. So non-duality is, so we're talking about the end of the person, the end of time, the end of space, the end of identifying as this body-mind organism. It's the end of seeking in time for fulfillment. And it's often described as a coming home because it's rest. This is rest. This is stillness and silence. A stillness that can be seen, a stillness that is felt, that is known. So it's the end of identification. The identity is based on time because time is thought, and that is seen not to be who I am. In fact, the who I am thing falls away because there is no one. So there's no one here, there's no one there. There is just life happening for no one, to no one, and the saying that nothing ever happened, nothing ever will happen. And so yeah, it's coming to rest in what is, which is love. So love is the essence of all of life, all of what is, what you are in a sense, and it's unconditional. So it includes everything. It's all embracing, it's accepting everything as it is. So there's a total acceptance that accompanies this, not wanting things to be different than they are. And yet life continues. So there's a transformation in this as well. So it can blow a lot of defenses away, it can blow a lot of neurosis away, it's freedom. It's freedom, and it's accompanied because there's a bodily sense to this as well, or an end of a bodily sense in a way, because being no one here is also experienced as quite literally no one here. There's no location for being. It's not located here, there, anywhere. It's just, there's just life. That's difficult to describe. It's experienced, and all of this is beyond the mind, so nothing can adequately convey this message. And it's the end of authority, it's the end of the projection onto the other, it's the end of seeking is that, essentially. And it's our true nature in a sense, is because we were born into this. There's a naturalness to it as well. So even though in some cases during the awakening, which is a non-event, but it's very often remembered, that sometimes remembered anyway, that we were born into this. Maybe there'll be memories of having been awake as a child or something, but in any case, it's natural, and so is reality. So there's everything and nothing. There's just void. There's absolutely nothing happening, and there's no thing anywhere. There are no things, but yet everything is appearing in this, and it's seen in its perfection. And yeah, and that's about all I have to say right now on that. I'm going to hand over to Walter.
Thank you, John. And I shared the Zoom link in the chat if anyone wants to join us in Zoom. Also, feel free to type your questions or comments in. I'll say a few things about non-duality. See, about 20 years ago, I went to a retreat, and they were selling books and VHS tapes of different speakers. One of them was Ramesh Balsekar. So I watched this VHS tape. I think it was maybe 2, was a set. And he started off by saying that nothing anybody has ever said at any time in the entire history has ever been the truth. Because once words come out, it becomes a concept, and therefore not the truth. And there is no capital T truth. But whatever this is that we're attempting to discuss is non-conceptual. It's prior to thought. It's prior to being. It's just this pure isness. And even to use words like pure isness, it's just isness. And it's all there is. It's that which from everything else appears. There's this one substance that's not a substance. This no-thingness from which somehow this sense of self appears, a sense of free will and choice and autonomy appears. A life appears from it. But there is no one having a life. There's just that unspeakable isness from which all these thoughts emerge, all these concepts, and talk about pointing at the moon and not to worship the finger. And you see that a lot. I think Alan Watts said something about some people want to suck it for comfort, just to hug and grasp and hold on to the message itself, trying to understand it, trying to use it to make life better, when it's not about the message, it's not about the words. Life, this is just life unfolding, life happening, life living itself. And there's no one in it. There's no one in life. This is all there is. And there's no controller. That's what fell away, was this, negotiating and trying to navigate and figure things out. And it's just like this free fall, and have no idea what's going to happen. And sometimes there's a resistance to what is. Sometimes there's an acceptance of what is, but it's always just what is. So it's not even about having a better experience or learning a better technique or, how much better life is after seeing all this, or realization or liberation or any of that. The most beautiful part, I think, is just to see there never was a bondage to be freed from. It's always just whatever seems to be happening. And there's no authority, there's nothing to manipulate. There's not a universe to try to manipulate with my thoughts or some kind of approach that I can, conspire with the universe to have a better life. It's already whole, complete, and it's already this, and it can't be any more full on than it already is. You can't get closer to it, further away from it. It's closer than your next breath. It is your next breath. It is you. But to see that there is no one that needs to figure it out, because it's always already. And there's no answers in non-duality. There's no one to forgive. There's no one that needs forgiveness. There's no one doing anything. No one has ever done anything. It's always been this beautiful flow. And sometimes it seems like you're going with the flow or you're going against the current. But even that is this. Even seemingly going against the flow is going with the flow, because there's only the flow. So you can't get it wrong. You can't fuck it up. You can't do non-duality wrong, because it's all there is. So with that, let's open it up. Jump right in. Don't be shy. The floor is yours.
Well, it's better than nothing. Non-duality is better. It's fine. I'm just thinking of that.
We can, you can talk about, not just this. Oh, we got a question from Paul Stubbs. It says, can you give any pointers to help with liberation? You want to take a shot at that?
Well, there are no, I mean, you're back in the conceptual world again with that. I mean, there are no pointers, are not going to help with liberation. If you mean to bring that about, I mean, may help you get an idea of what we're talking about in a sense, but it's not it. pointers, I mean, you basically mean description. It sounds like a thing, pointers, but it really isn't. It's just like, I mean, what is a pointer? So yeah, there's nothing that can help with this if you mean the falling away of the self, which doesn't happen, which happens to no one and doesn't happen at the same time. Yeah, there's nothing. It's seen that there's no one who could possibly bring that about. So life is just happening. So yeah, but some people, some non-dual speakers work with pointers. I suppose a little bit like Zen koans to, well, I imagine it's like that, to try to maybe create a pause in the mind or something like that. Does that work? Who knows? Like every so often something appears to work, but a lot of times it doesn't. So yeah, but sometimes there seems to be a power in the shock in the mind, like the mind can be kind of stunned and maybe there can be a glimpse or something like that. I don't know what there's any relation there, but that sometimes seems to happen. But again, in most cases, it probably doesn't. And glimpses are common enough and they happen anywhere, as does the abiding state, if you like, although it's not state. But yeah, so no, no, there's not. Yeah, they don't help with this. But yeah, if you're drawn to that, explore that. I mean, if you want to explore it, you probably will anyway. So, you know, what do you think of pointers, Walter?
Well, can you to help with I don't know if they help with liberation, and you know, liberation is sort of a joke in the end because there is no liberation. It's all liberation. It's already liberated. There's nothing bound, you know. But I guess me saying that could be a pointer. I mean, there's lots of so-called pointers. I guess I always just, whatever I was hearing, there was always a me in there somewhere. So it was like, I was always speaking from a point of view or a perspective or a, you know, there was me and the universe. There was me and non-duality, and I needed to get it. So I was always separate from what was being spoken about in my mind, but I never was. You know, I never needed to get it, never needed to be liberated. That was just a belief. So if you can see, let's see, what are some of the pointers I got? Was like, someone would say, oh, if I gave you a lung transplant, would you still be you? If I gave you a heart transplant, would you still be you? If I cut off your arms and leg, you know what? And then it was all about even getting a lobotomy. Like, what is this me that I think I am? You know, where is it located? And then you see maybe that you're not a who, and you're not even a what. And maybe there isn't a you at all. There's just what is. Maybe this sense of being a you is a part of that what is, a part of what seems to be happening. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. It's just what is. But to see that there isn't, you know, maybe somewhere in the head, this little person running the show. There's no one running the show. And that's a beautiful thing to see, but I don't know if I can say anything to, you know, inspire a glimpse or something into that. They talk about your true nature, but there's no you to have a true nature. There's no true nature. This is it already. There's no ownership of anything, like a true nature or a higher self with a big S and a small s and all that. Andy had his hand raised. You want to jump in, Andy?
Hi. It was just a playful question, Walter, because there was nobody asking a question. I liked your introduction, but it made me think about your T-shirt. Get a grip of what?
Get a grip.
On your T-shirt.
Oh yeah, it's Aerosmith. That's the name of one.
Yeah, but it just seemed I don't know. It was just playful that you were talking about. Your introduction was not about getting a grip of anything, but you got this T-shirt which says "Get a grip." I just thought it was amusing. That's all.
Yeah, I think Joan Tollefson has a book called Nothing to Grasp. And everyone talks about free fall. And that's the point. There's no handholds. There's not a technique or a method or a practice or a pointer even that will get you any closer to what already is. So yeah, there's nobody to get a grip or anything to grip onto. But it's a great album. A lot
I'm
of
sure it is. Yeah, it is.
recovery inspired lyrics in there, especially Amazing. Yeah. All right, we got a question from Kingdale Clark. What do you say people who say we are just human beings and non-duality is in fact not real? I don't know. I don't defend. This is not a philosophy I believe in that I would defend, and that's yeah. What do I say to that? It's quite possible that I don't think what I'm saying is the truth. So there you go. I don't know. What do you think, Don?
Well, in some ways, yeah. So if that's your experience, I mean, it's true for you, isn't it? I mean, it's just your experience, and it's kind of like, well, at least you're not stuck projecting onto someone else telling you that there's non-duality. Do you know, in a sense, like that there's oneness. If you don't experience that, then there's suddenly the projection, suddenly this spiritual authority, or yeah, I mean, go with your experience. What's true for you is true for you. I mean, this, when it falls away, with obviously nothing falls away, but in a sense in which people talk about this, there is an awakening event, if you'd like. I mean, if we're talking normally, we can talk about that. Sometimes there actually isn't. It's just sort of sliding into this, but this, it seems incontrovertible in the sense because it's deeper than that. I mean, that's like dream reality. When you wake up from a dream, seems less real than the normal reality. Again, this seems, this is, it seems kind of seen through, but the human being still exists. I mean, it does and it doesn't. This is real and unreal. So it's just, that's not who you are in any case. So there are human beings apparently, and then that continues, just like phrases like "get a grip." They all have their place in the relative world. It's not like any of this stuff goes. We're talking about awakening, talking from about oneness and how it is. I mean, nothing happening, but a life continues. It may not be owned, but nevertheless it continues, and it can't be escaped in that sense. And neither with suffering or problems that can arise and fall away. It's just, there's no identity with that. There's no identification with that. So in a sense, that's the freedom. And so it changes the experience of that to a certain extent. So yeah, I think it's cool if you if you see that, you're not taking someone else's word for it. I mean, if there's an awakening experience, you probably won't be saying that. That's my guess. You probably won't be saying that. But yeah, until then, like, yeah, stick to, you know, what you know. At least you're not beholden to someone else's take on what is the case. I mean, great. Unlike most of us who are on this, like, but even I'm beyond the non, you know, not beyond the non-dual, because there's no beyond, but I mean, even in like Kundalini experiences, energetic experiences, it's obvious to see, to me, it's obvious that we are not just this, and in any case, you know, there's none of this, everything and everything, but also that the body itself is, life is not dependent on it. That's what I see. I can't conclude from it, because I do, at the end of the day, I sort of see it's all unknowable. Like, it's, how can I know that? Of course, but so yeah, if anything, I would say it's more likely we're spiritual beings. We're not that. Nobody is that, but this is what on the relative level, which doesn't exist. But we have to speak. We have to make sense of this, so we don't have to make sense of it. But anyway, so yeah, I see this as the personality is not dependent on the body either, not in my experience. But so that's my experience. It may not be another non-dual speaker's experience of that, you know. But anyway.
All right, we got some comments. Jack Saturday says drumming and skateboarding, juggling and surfing, yoga and zazen, piano and beatboxing, climbing and dancing. There's so much beauty to enjoy. Yes, absolutely.
Sounds hard work to me.
All that sounds like hard work.
Most of it, yeah.
Do you beatbox?
No, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Like,
I don't think I'm going to demonstrate. But
yeah, well, yeah, you know, we all have our own ideas of what enjoyment is. Juggling, yeah, no, cool. Yeah.
But just a variety of life there.
Yeah. No,
hi, everyone from Mohammed. Hello. Jump in if you have a question.
Hi, how are you? Hear me?
Hi.
How's it going?
Going well. How are you?
Me too. I have joined your community recently. Found it on Meetup. I don't know what that is, but I think it's interesting to hear what you're saying. And especially Ms. Garland's idea about, I think, a life that we're not just the body itself. I think we're more of the body. I think that was the most important thing that I got from Ms. Garland.
that
It was
more
cool
than
and
the body?
interesting. Sorry, to be honest with you, my English is not really, I'm not expert in speaking English and expressing my opinion to tell you what I really mean.
Oh,
But
right,
I
okay,
think
but more
you
than,
said something
yeah, sure, okay, yeah,
something related to that.
yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah.
But can I just ask you a question for a second? What is this meeting about? I mean, what do you guys actually do in here when you show up here? Usually.
Do you want to answer that, Walter, or?
Mohammed, are you familiar with non-duality, or what attracted you to come here in the first place?
Well,
Do you want to turn your
Honestly,
camera on, or we can see
no, I'm
it?
not able to turn it on
Oh,
because
okay,
right
that's okay.
now, yeah,
No
I'm
worries.
using VPN because I just can't connect you with a voice because if I turn on my camera, I think everything's going to be ruined and I'm going to be disconnected from this meeting. Well, no, I don't really know what that is. I just came here to see how Native people speak and somehow learn something like expressions, and well, I take notes and then I improve my skill in talking. That's what I do.
Hmm,
I want to do right now in here. Mhm.
all right. Well, yeah, I mean, what we do is what we're doing. We talk about non-duality, which we both gave an intro at the beginning, and just open up for questions. And I don't know what more to say about it than I haven't already, though, unless you have a specific question. But just
No, no
ask me
question.
what it is vague, and I sort of started with that.
Well, in my opinion, dual, it's something that it is compared between two things. And when I think we put the prefix non at the beginning of the duality, it would be something that it is aware of dual. Is it correct?
Well, there's no subject object.
So what is it about?
There's nothing aware of something else. There's just this one apparent appearance of you and I speaking, but there's no separate Muhammad from Walter. It's the same expression, if you will. Same expression,
Mhm.
no thing being everything, or as it says in the one of the sutras, emptiness is form. Diamond Sutra, I think. Form is emptiness. So this is emptiness appearing as form, appearing as Muhammad, appearing as Walter, but there's no separation. There's no independent entity. The observer is the
Well,
observed, if you
whatever that
will.
is, I have to search it on Google later and find it out on dictionaries and because as well there's some expressions that I gotta figure it out what that means. But anyway, thank you very much for letting me know.
Thank you very much for being here. Okay. Anybody else? Natalie says, there is what is, and stories are told about what is, which is also what is. Loving this talk. You're both amazing. Thank you, Natalie. Now, the fact there's no escape from the apparent world, at least. Do you think that's what Tim Kliss meant when he said there's no escape?
Oh, that came up before, didn't it? So yeah, you can take that whatever way you want. There is no, it's not escape from your life, which you don't have, in the sense that life goes on. There's no escape from suffering, but you're not living from that. So it's in the background. There's still apparent choices to be made, and life can be hard still, but that the difficulty is in the background, in a sense. There's more presence, so there's more being where you are, so that stuff comes up and it falls away more. That's the experience. Yeah, but it's not an ultimate escape in that sense, even though there's no location, even though there's no one. Like, life is still hard. Life is, this is not this earth thing, whatever it is, earth life, that is not and is can be difficult, which is why this is open to all sorts of questions. Because non-duality doesn't answer everything. Like, it's not an answer to everything. Like, it just isn't. You know, but it's easy to project that onto it. It just is. Which is why it's so gripping in a sense. You know, the idea of your head being in the tiger's mouth. I mean, it's often seen that this is a thing that must be gotten first, that somehow seeing this will be solving everything. And certainly for a while it can seem like that. It depends what life throws at you, but it will be different. But you know,
Well, would you be interested in talking about NDEs at all?
well, they don't. I mean, they don't relate to non-duality in a sense, but of course, all this is non-duality. I think the only thing you get from this, from like, NDEs can be combined with awakening as well, because I think probably perhaps because there's a confrontation with death. Well, it may not be a direct confrontation, but and obviously death is a process. So, but it's interesting in that as well. So there can be an awakening to oneness. There can also be a coming back from that experience to having experienced God or Jesus or Ganesh or whatever kind of deity, or even getting a sense of purpose, very specific kind of sense of purpose, which kind of runs contrary to the usual sort of non-dual message, if you like. You know, if you're taking this quite literally, which there's no other way to take it, I think, as you hear it as a seeker, maybe that meaning and purpose kind of burn up in this because everything is already fulfilled. There's nothing to add to this. You know, life is enough. Especially in the honeymoon period. So yeah, I think the NDE stuff, like the non-duality, takes away the fear of death. I think the NDE stuff makes death seem, unless you've had a hellish experience of it, makes it seem very sweet, very, very nice. Like, so I can change that. And also there's a certainty with that as well. With the ND stuff, it tends to be a certainty of life is continuing, no end to it. Like the experience of the personality here, which may or not be experienced as having a location, that continues, and it can, you know, there's no end to that. So, which kind of makes some kind of sense to me. But again, for me, this is unknowable. Like it just is. And, you know, so yeah, there can be comfort derived from that. And yeah, and again, like non-dual awakening, the ND brings about quite a big transformation of character. Also does a Kundalini awakening, does that also. They're very similar actually in their after effects. So except that in the case of NDs, there's more psychic experiences. And so yeah, more there's more kind of transpersonal kind of experiences following an NDE. at least that are talked about more openly in that community anyway. So yeah, but transformation is key, because in both cases there is. I mean, there's a transformation in mind for non-dual awakening, because the mind is either completely blown or it's slowed down. It tends to be background, so it's not as ruminative thought tends to, if there is that can fall away completely, or it can slow down. So that can be a real shock, that the silence of just the mind alone, never mind the silence that is seen, that's experienced, and that you are there's a real sweetness to that as well. So, and I think that's what everybody seeks, really. I mean, if you're seeking, most of it comes out of suffering, because life is to some extent suffering, right? So, people try to want it for its own sake or some shit, but I guess that's what we want. But yeah, so it's interesting parallels, but in some ways with the transformation stuff, but it's just the immediate.
Andy, sorry.
No, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying Andy had his hand up.
Yeah, hi. This is a question for Dawn, just off the back of that question there, off the back of your answer there. So in your intro, you were talking about there is no me. But in your answer, when you were talking about NDEs there, you were using the me word a few times. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how those two different experiences inform each other, or marry up to each other, or go with each other, or contradict each other.
Non-duality is a different thing. So it's just the seeing of nothing and everything. Me is just a way of talking about this life that continues in space and time, in the timeless, in the spaceless. It's a way of because the character continues, whatever. So the character can go out for dinner and have a curry, or the character can have an NDE and talk to God, or I don't know, admire Jesus's sandals, or whatever the hell, or I don't know, just so it's the same thing essentially. I think there's more absorption in those kind of energetic states or energetic experiences that can be very, very deep, just like it is around the time of awakening. The depth of the absorption, I just sort of describe it as it's almost like a kind of drunkenness. It's a kind of being where you're just, instead of being absorbed in the mind is a cold, it's actually being really absorbed in the mind stream is not a nice experience. It has a very different energy. It's kind of dulling in a way, if you think about it, compared, I don't know if you've got the comparison, but I think you do. Whereas being absorbed in what is rest. It's restful, it's juicy, it's blissful. So it's different, but it's still absorption, it's just a different kind of experience. And of course that varies, every day our moods vary, or whatever's happening affects us, whatever. So in a sense, NDE is just another experience, but it's a very interesting and transformative one. Just like a Kundalini experience, it can be can be combined with so many insights. It can just, psychological stuff can fall away in that, can be seen through in that. And it's just knowing that there's something else, but the big breakthrough is the non-dual. That's first and foremost. If you had to choose, that's because that's where the me can disappear in both, but the obviously non-duality always disappears. So it's just the seeing that there is no me, so that there is no direct relation. It's just the same energy, really. As you kind of know, it's a very heightened, still energy. It's not like the energy of you sort of think of different states you go through during the day, the dulling effect of if you've watched TV or something. I mean, that's because that's where the meat can disappear in both, but the obviously
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Duality. So it's just seeing that there is no meat. So there is no direct relation. It's just the same energy, really. That's great. Yeah, just like that. I think she said it better.
Paul, can you mute yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, thanks. Thanks. Sorry, Don.
I don't think that clarified anything. Anyway, but,
No, that's fine. Cheers, Don.
Well, we have other questions, but I am interested in, I thought that was a good question from Andy, because just this whole thing about what is it that continues, or what is this essence that it's obvious we're not the body, or we're not the brain. So things like NDEs seem to make us ask, like, well, what is this?
well, I was thinking also like a lucid dream, like, so in the experience of a lucid dream where you're aware you're dreaming, I wasn't always aware of this, but now, and I don't know how many people experience it, but I'm aware of, there being no location in a lucid dream, being no me in a lucid dream. It's the same as an NDE. I would call my experience of NDE like, because there are different criteria for that. So I've met some of the criteria of it, enough for NDE like stuff. But even in the NDE, so there's awareness of there being no one, being dead, and no one, meeting guides, meeting light beings. But it's just the same as this. It's maybe more beautiful. Like when you first wake up and everything is just so stunning because you haven't seen it before. Like, you get more used to life going on as before. Like it becomes more normal over time. But yeah, so the NDE is just very, very intense and very beautiful. I've had negative experiences of other dimensions, as in hell experiences, stuff like that, which are very different to the more positive, sort of more heavenly kind of realms. But yeah, I mean, so there doesn't need to be in me to experience a dream, a lucid dream, an NDE. If it's not there, it's not there. Awakening may or may not happen I don't think they happen in lucid dreams, but yeah, so it's just an interesting thing. Life goes on as before. Basically, it just goes on as before. So yeah, there are profound differences. And language is... Yeah.
Sorry.
No, sorry, no.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yes.
No, I was just going to ask Paul. I thought he might have a question. Paul
Yeah.
Stubbs.
I had an NDE when I was 16-year-old, a long time ago now, and it was a completely personal experience. It was totally different from the glimpse, sort of, an awakening glimpse that was completely impersonal. Yeah, absolutely different flavor to it.
Yeah, okay. And so you've had a glimpse as well. Was that shortly after then, or?
No, I had the glimpse quite recently around Christmas time.
Okay.
The NDE was sort of involved with a motorbike incident when I was 16, and it included a life review.
Okay.
But it was absolutely nothing. I don't think it was linked to the non-dual aspect of it at all. I don't really, one of them things where you try and find a link because it's happened. I've never been able to link that with any of the things that have happened sort of since or anything. Or with awakening even.
I suppose it depends whether some of these things happen after awakening or before as well. I mean, that must make a massive difference, I imagine. But you had it beforehand, so it's coming from personal experience. But I'm sure it was pretty transformative in that sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it did affect me at the time, and I lost my favourite death for quite a while after the NDE.
Did it actually come back?
I think it did. Yeah, I think it did.
Ah, right. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But I lost that again with the glimpse.
The glimpse was transformative then, because it's not. I mean, it's not always. Glimpses don't seem to have a lot of transformative effect.
Well, this glimpse was absolutely like it had always. I knew I was home, sort of thing, and everything that I didn't see anything. Obviously, it was formless, but it was. I was aware of everything, and every moment was just full of wonder, absolute wonder, none of which I could remember because there was so many of them. And even though I was sort of maybe trying to capture the memory of it was just wonder after wonder after wonder. So everything was, I don't know, just continually marvelous. It was fantastic.
But so did you experience, because you say it was transformative, like I'm interested in that, like,
yeah,
is it still impacting you? Did you feel like the kind of me came back, or like?
No, I came out of the, during the glimpse, when I was experiencing all this, well, probably experiencing is the wrong word, but when I was having this this wonderful time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then I was aware of my thoughts getting sort of mixed up with the emotions that my father felt when I was a child, and that sort of pulled me out of the glimpse.
Okay.
It wasn't a sense of whoosh, I was back in my body, but I was just gently came back to this reality.
All right. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It does. And the insight, like, just that like bit, you saw your thoughts being mixed with your father's thoughts.
Yeah, I felt my father's thoughts of, that he had when I was a baby. It was really strange, but I was him for a little while, looking at me.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very strange, but very nice as well. Not frightening, but I think I was probably a little overwhelmed with it, and
Okay.
I just sensed myself back into this body.
and afterwards, like, what did change for you then? You said the fear of death went after that, like.
Oh yeah. I knew that was the reality. That was our true nature, if you will, if you want to put it like that. I didn't have the dissolving of the outs. This skin. I'm still here.
Is there still seeking going on? Like, are you still?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So you're.
Yeah, because I do want well, liberation, for want of a better word. You know, I want the falling away of the ego, and it hasn't gone from me completely. Maybe it's I'm very not involved, but I'm very aware of the way the world is manipulated and has always been manipulated. So I think that's probably creating some it's keeping me here, sort of thing. You know, it's not allowing me to escape this, because I've still got belief in the nonsense that's happening all around us.
Okay, so you're seeing that more clearly then, like
I've seen that. I knew that instinctively when it first sort of came out with the COVID nonsense.
Okay.
When they started sort of locking people down, and that I had an instinctive thought that told me that the only way to escape this madness was to raise my level of consciousness.
Okay.
You know, I had no idea how to do it, how to go about it. I'd never sort of looked into the spiritual side at all. But since then, I have, obviously, and you know, I'm still doing that to an extent, obviously. But yeah, that's what initiated my my interest in, you know, this topic, really.
All right. Okay. So it's just back to normal otherwise, but there's insights and okay.
Yeah, there's insights and, you know, awareness. But I'm still pretty much trapped in the ego mind, or ego body.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, you know, is there anything sort of you could recommend for me to not achieve that falling away of small self? But you know, that's why I'm looking to be where you are, basically.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to really work like that as far as I can see. Like it's just, you know, that kind of happens or it doesn't. Glimpses, you know, in some environments, glimpses seem to give rise to glimpses and stuff, like, but the permanent falling away, because it is just seeing the helplessness of that. There's no one who could do that, because even, you know, free will's seen through as well. And so yeah, it's frustrating, I think, in that sense.
Yeah, it is frustrating.
Yeah.
I had out-of-body experiences as well.
Following the NDE, is that, or
no? This is when I was a sort of very young boy. I was I was 5-year-old when I realised that I couldn't have out-of-body experiences anymore. So it was a lot longer after. I think most people are 2 before they fully identify with the body. So I think I must have been sort of 4 at least, and probably 5 before I.
Did you?
I was.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I used to. The way it sort of. I used to do it was. We just lived in a 2 up, 2 down house when I was born, and the stairs were like an open plan thing. Most people took the understairs cupboard out and made open plan rooms, because it give you a lot more space, basically. And I used to sort of throw myself off the stairs and just float around the ceiling, you know. I remember it wasn't once or twice. It seemed like it was a nightly thing I did.
Oh, really? Did you go anywhere else, or?
No, I just remember the floating around the ceilings in the house.
Right.
Then we moved house when I was about 5.
Right.
I can remember wanting to do the same on a sort of window ledge outside of my parents' room, and I sat on the window ledge and wanted to sort of throw myself off, but fear stopped me, you know. So obviously that was the end of the OBAs, and I identified with the body because I realised that the consequences would be quite serious. But I didn't have that fear before then, you know. So I think I must have been around 5.
So you're literally about, like, almost like literally about to throw yourself off, but that's how it worked before, like.
Yeah, but that's how I knew that it stopped at that age, because
that's strange.
I didn't have any sense of fear at all, and just remember, you know, doing that and floating around the room.
Oh, right, okay. So you were fearless to a certain point then, and then
completely fearless. Yeah.
You must have known at some level that you could do. It's almost as if you knew you could do that then, because for kids, like, they're not like no self.
No, I was too, you know, I was too young to be affected by sort of life's conditioning type of thing at that age, you know. I know it was I was 5 because we moved house, and that's the house that I sat on the window ledge and had the fear and didn't throw myself off. So up until then, you know, I didn't have any fear of it.
Well, it's unusual then. I mean, I don't want to go into your childhood, like, unless you wanted to, but like, what was it tough, or were you trying to escape, or was this just something that was intuitive?
No, yeah, a very idyllic childhood. You know, no.
Okay, right. So it was
no trauma at all. You know, very sort of loving parents. So it was great. You know, but I think I was probably probably a real loving home. You know, and I was very insulated from outside influences, I think, you know. So
okay,
I didn't have as much conditioning maybe as other people.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. It's just
you
knew it somehow.
But a distinct you know, realization. It was as real a realization as my glimpse. You know, very, very real. I know I probably sound a bit spaced out.
No, not at all.
I'm saying it, but
no, not at all. Honestly, this sounds normal. I wouldn't recommend it as a method. It's just interesting because it seemed like you knew at some level, like, you know, when you were young and do that.
Yeah, well, I think I probably was sort of that, obviously not aware of doing anything like that before, that things just seemed natural, you know. It didn't seem strange. It's like the NDE didn't seem that strange because I was going through the growing up process, and it's like when you used to get instances of deja vu and things like that, you know, just new experiences.
Did you keep it hidden? Did you hide it, like 16, the NDE? Did you tell anybody?
I didn't really tell anyone about it.
Did it take years to talk about it?
And there was a person sort of with me, you know, during this. Actually, it wasn't an NDE. It was an FDE. It was a fear-death experience. It wasn't a near-death experience. All
right. Okay, you just went out of the body through the fear, like before.
Yeah. You know, hurtling along on a sort of motorbike, and me and a friend, our bikes locked, and I had this intense sort of, we were hurtling towards this traffic light, these major traffic lights. So I just had this intense fear I was going to die, and then this fear-death experience happened, and I had the life review and everything, and then I was, after a little, was like a conversation with this other presence there, where I was explaining. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What were you talking about?
I said, look, there's been a mistake. I shouldn't be here. I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything yet. And this sort of presence seemed to say to me, well, we'll just have a look now then. And that's when I had the life review, which was my life just played out in real time, not fast forwarded or anything. There was no sense of urgency, and the things I'd done were all played out in front of me. And the difference was I could feel the emotions from conversations I'd had with and interactions with people. I felt their emotions as well as my own, and I think there was probably little stops or slowdowns maybe where they occurred, where these interactions occurred. And then after the life review happened, I remember saying, well, there, look, I told you, I shouldn't be. And he said, oh, yeah, all right, then on your way, sort of thing. And I was back on the motorbike, and the bikes just separated. And I just brake, just normally before the light. So you kind of lasted more than a second or two, really.
Oh, it's bizarre, isn't it? So
but the time thing, it was,
it's not dependent on that at all, is it?
No, it wasn't anything. I mean, it's just beyond it's beyond the mind to sort of conceive of the amount of time it took for me to replay my whole life.
Yeah, it's unrelated.
Yeah. It was it was strange, but it was personal. That was me, and the actual sort of glimpse wasn't me. It was all of us, and it wasn't. There was no men, no women. We were all one. It was it's completely different.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. It was interesting.
Yeah, good. I think this is the first time I've talked about it, to be quite honest.
Oh, really? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
How does it feel okay to talk about it?
Well, I've always sort of wanted to, but you do, different subjects do sort of come up from time to time, and if you try and tell people that you've had this, that, and the other, you sound like a gobshite, for want of a better word.
Depends on the company. I think kids have it the worst, because they often get shamed into silence with particularly stuff like speak about, and it can take years to talk about it as well. So
yeah, it does. And the lad who was with me on the other motorbike, who during the FDE, I said to I was sort of full of shock and awe when we eventually pulled up at the traffic lights. And I said, "Oh my God, what was all that?" Expecting him to pick up on what had happened, and he said, "What are you talking about?" It just didn't. Even the locking together of the motorbikes didn't sort of register any danger with him at all. It was,
whoa.
Yeah, it was really strange, you know. So I sort of instantly knew that, oh, you know, people are going to think you're mad if you try and talk about this. I never really did.
Yeah, it seems a shame, but yeah, I don't know. I suppose the circles I move in is so easy to. I mean, I like anybody I meet seems to be open to this. A lot more people are, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really anger people, can't it? And
Yeah, you know, I think I'd have drawn the wrong type of attention if I'd have
yeah,
attempted to tell everybody, you know.
but it helps you to integrate it as well, doesn't it? I think it does. Well, you're only talking about it now, like, I mean, make sense of it, because it's even in terms of the linear time, like it's hard to make sense of what's actually happening as well, like in those
Yeah.
experiences.
It doesn't make, when you try and tell people that you had a life review, you know, it wasn't like a video going fast forward or anything. It was just in sort of real time, and the whole thing took, you know, maybe 2 seconds or something. It just doesn't register with the analytical, you know, the logic. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Paul. I think we have a question from Philip.
Hi guys.
Hi, Philip.
I just wanted to say that I guess it was brave that Paul talked about his suicide attempt. And so yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm glad he didn't kill himself. Yeah, and that's all.
He wasn't talking about a suicide attempt.
Was that me?
I don't know what he's saying. You weren't trying to kill yourself?
No,
eh?
no.
No, you weren't.
Wasn't suicide.
No, it wasn't. Just flying on the ceiling.
Oh, that's what I thought. That's what he said, but it
No,
doesn't
no, it
matter,
wasn't.
really.
It wasn't.
Okay.
It must be my accent.
Oh. Mm.
Go ahead, Betty.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Walter and Dawn. No, when he was talking, Paul, I had a memory of a young boy I knew that thought he was Superman. Yeah, it was really bad. But anyway, no, I just wanted to say, I was just telling somebody, I think it was yesterday, the day before, I said, the glimpse, it was the curse and the blessing. And, you know, I know why it was the curse, and I'm still trying to find the blessing.
Mm.
Yeah, because, you know, the curse in the sense that you don't really see the sense anymore in your meditations or your prayers. It's just like, you know, what for? Who's praying to who? What for? You know, the whole story. And the blessing, which I thought, you know, by experiencing, well, it wouldn't be the experience, but the death now, instead of having to face it as it's coming, you know, and but it's not happening anyway, despite all my Zooms and all my travels and everything. Yeah. Still me is really grounded and fighting and whatever, you know. It's even when you were talking about the perfection of it all. You know, I know the imperfection is the perfection too, but as a being, you have a tendency to remember the imperfection
Yeah,
or
sure.
whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, but the relative still exists. I mean, you say like this is like a death, but it's fear death could arise, like anything could arise, like after this too, like facing it, or I don't know. And prayer, I mean, it doesn't negate prayer either. Like it doesn't, I pray. No. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It just feels like there's not even the feeling to meditate, or no. It's just, it was always, I was trying to get, I realized it was just me trying to get something.
sure, I get that.
All of it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you're left with a kind of futility of it.
Yeah.
I suppose. Okay, because see, there's something to be got or something, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It was like, I don't know. I thought, by, when listening to these speakers and the death and there's no experience, I thought, in that there's not a state, but, that would overcome my tremendous fear of the death.
Oh, right. Okay, so that's something that's quite big in you then, the fear of death.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that in everybody?
Oh, like I can't speak for everybody. It was massive in me. Like it was
Yeah.
really massive and seemed incomprehensible to me and unforgivable, almost like
Mm,
how could you bring life into this world when it has to die? And that
Yeah.
collapsed into life doesn't need any justification. So that was after awakening. It was just this all that existential crisis kind of totally dissolved into just this is enough. And there's and it's hard to explain the fear of death going. Like, I mean, no, there's two ways of looking at it for me, because it doesn't seem like the life ends, but also I don't know what it is, maybe energetic, because you're not this. It seems somehow, I guess it's around identity. We can't really conceive of it. It just seems like we're so addicted to this story of our lives or whatever it is that that tends to go. Like it's, I don't know, it goes anyway. Like yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
You feel that the life will go on.
Yeah, very strongly. I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are life. Your life. That's never to be suffocated and wiped out. Your life, living, aliveness, whatever they say.
I don't know that, but my experiences seem to indicate that to me. And yeah, so I've experiences of being dead. So I've had NDE, NDE like experiences. Did last week, had a couple last week where I knew I was dead. Yeah, and
a couple last week. Damn, what happened last week?
Wouldn't you like to know? Well, actually, Betty, I was in a bad place, and I prayed, and bang, like, close my eyes. The light was just going crazy, and next thing, bang, I'm out of my. Anyway, the ending that started. So, so yeah, I mean, and I came back. Really good place. Like, but again, it's like obviously I didn't come back in here, but it's back in this reality, I guess. And hard to talk about that, but yeah. So there's a knowing that you're dead. Like,
yeah,
that seems incontrovertible at the time, of course. Like, so it seemed really sweet to me. Like the last, few of those I've had have been really, really nice and more fun than this. But I'm not in a hurry for that, if you know what I mean. Like, so and I don't know, like,
Yeah, I'm not in a hurry either. Just thought, I wanted to sort of reconcile.
yeah, it can be difficult. I think some people struggle with it more. Like, for some reason, I had a 10-year period where I really, really struggled with, this is just too painful. It doesn't make sense to me. How can life be livable for anyone? Because it's just, for me, it wasn't. And I couldn't see any way in which I could get beyond that. And I didn't understand. Other people seem to be happy enough. So yeah, it was kind of nice to get rid of that. It was really nice to get rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how other people get it, but they had a
It's
spirit.
It's funny though, because when I did have like a harrowing experience recently in the car, it's around Christmas, I just started praying, because it just comes back naturally when you're in that life and death.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You're just, because that's how I was raised, and I spent so many years in the Catholic Church and Catholic school and blah blah blah, Catholic rosary and novenas and blah blah blah, that I was in this situation that I didn't, I was so frightened. The only thing that came was prayer. Yeah, it just came like that, natural.
Okay, all right. So you didn't question it? Did it bring?
Yeah, I questioned it, days later when things settled down. I was like, wow, you're, that's still your like go-to, that you don't even realize, even though you're not in the space that you were in maybe last year, where there was a lot of prayer, but it's like a habitual. It was almost like habitual. You're faced with something so frightening that you just,
Well, there's a kind of intimacy in that conversation in prayer, I think, is really, really deep. And that's probably why it's seen as an opener. That's why it's associated with energetic experiences. There's a correlation there. I mean, it's empirical fact from the studies done, and I don't know how big they are, but I can totally get that. It's like no other, it's like, what you wouldn't speak like that ordinarily. There's something about that space, and it's sacred. And yet, like you say, in moments of crisis, I think a hell of a lot of people must do that. I mean,
yeah,
if it's been something you're not brought up with, and I think it's beautiful. I do think it's beautiful. I don't do it all the time, and there has to be a certain emotional state where that kicks in. Like you say, crisis, or maybe when it's you can't talk it out with anybody else or something, and it's just like, whatever is out there, whatever is your oneness, God, I don't know, Gabriel, I don't know, whoever it is your go-to, like, I mean, it's all, I don't know, I think I've prayed to quite a lot of different
last week.
My options open.
Last week, yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh geez, I wouldn't want to be there. It might be like that now. I step off it, whatever. It just, I don't know. I just kind of felt it was I don't know, like, I can't explain it. It wasn't really metaphysical. It wasn't like, it just came out of, like, how you're habituated, how you're conditioned.
Mhm.
That's kind of how it felt to me. It didn't really, because if it felt really, I think, intense or something, I think I would have then maybe gone home and taken out the prayer book or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. It dropped after that again. And I questioned it. Yeah, I'm still questioning it. This happened in December.
Whoa,
So,
recent, right?
but there's kind of like a loss. Well, I mean, I've been following the radical. And so there's kind of like a loss.
But I think that, after the seeing of this, there's a period of time, whatever, maybe where you can chuck all that out and meditate and pray. Like, I don't know, you can really close up to so much of the richness that's out there as well, because you've seen it
Yeah.
as superstitious, whatever, like, and actually it can be really juicy, some of that stuff. And it seems to me when I pray, there's quite, there can be like, it seems like an answer, like,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
not infrequently.
Yeah.
I don't want
Same
to
thing when
touch
you
food.
meditate. The meditation too.
Yeah.
Sometimes after, whatever, something happens and you're like, whoa. And then I think, you're just doing that for that. I don't know. I get really confused. I get a little bit confused about it.
Well, you get insights, don't you? Insights, equilibrium, I don't know, other experiences. I don't know, there's a lot from meditation, and it's just not,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, if you're seeking the ultimate, like, yeah, you're probably going to be looking for that and not interested in the other stuff. But
Right. Yeah. Well, it's nice to just sit though and be quiet too. It's great to try to stop all those crazy things that are going through your head. That's good too. But hell, I could go for a walk and put some headphones on.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It was funny. My sister was cutting the lawn a little while ago, and I heard her scream, and I ran out. And she said, "This little bunny, tiny little bunny, ran out of this hole." Right. So then I start like sticking my foot in the hole. I'm like, wow, it goes way, way down. And all of a sudden, we counted about 5 little bunnies came out. They were only like that big.
Oh,
They're so cute. Well, I don't, of course they ran like lightning. I don't know where they are. So I'm sitting outside watching, hope they find their way back to the hole, because I guess mom is going to come soon for feeding. And they were so tiny. Oh my God. I said, nature is just like, so that just made my day. I mean, I'm still bad that they're not home yet. I'm watching to see if they come home. But it's like nature. Yeah, it's so beautiful, and it's just that's I don't know. But anyway, it was good seeing you and talking to you. I have a picture I have to send you, Dawn.
right. Okay.
Don't worry about it. It's just somehow it came up. Things come up on my phone. I don't know how. This is my phone. I don't know how things come up. And I have this picture. I was like, why do I have a picture of Dawn like that? It's hysterical. So I'll send it to you.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Look forward
Bye.
to it. I think.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you. Thanks, Walter.
My pleasure. Well, we had a few more questions in the chat, but looks like we're out of time. So
Should have
I
asked them earlier,
apologize.
shouldn't
Well, you want to take a quick, this, you might know this one, difference between heart opening awakening and a non-dual awakening. I've seen the unconditional love, but not exactly the emptiness.
the heart opening, well, just whenever the self drops away, it's the end off. So whatever way that happens, heart opening, just the seeing of nothing and everything. I don't know, a heart opening, I had that experience preceding my awakening. It's still kind of happening to a person, I think, and then that falls away, and or may or may not fall away. But so yeah, one's an experience, I think, and the other's just the falling away of the me. I don't know how you would put it, but so
Question about gods or deities. Do you have any on the existence of a god or a deity? What do you think?
for laughing and say something like this, the seeing on duality, like, so there's nothing, I mean, nothing, it doesn't have a form. One does not have a form, so it's formless. Anything could appear in that. So you're talking about an archetypal energy or whatever. I'm not saying I know what this is. So the non-dual seeing doesn't answer the question of that. You could experience all sorts of deities that seem to, that you may recognize, like some people experience Ganesh or whatever, they can have a transformative effect. Like illuminations we're seeing as knowing, so like seeing the eyes of Ganesh or whatever, the timeless can be seen. Like there's experiences like that, so there could be aspects of awakening seen in those kind of experiences. Like non-dual seeing doesn't answer any questions of what the fuck this is, right? So who knows what this is, but yeah, you may experience a god with sandals. I don't know, but you're not separate from that. There's no separation. This is what the seeing is. So, but nevertheless, these experiences happen. So don't ask me to put it together. I don't know. It could all exist. It could all exist in all different dimensions. It could just the whole fucking thing. Who knows?
All right. I like that. That's a good way to end. Who knows? Thank you everybody for being here and for asking your questions. I'll be live next week at 9 a.m. with David Hoffmeister. Tell your friends. Like, subscribe. What else? Hit the notification bell. Hit the PayPal if you can. If not, enjoy for free. We got interviews every week, and we got not just this every Monday at 2:00 Eastern time. So again, I'll be live at 9 a.m. next week Eastern time with David Hoffmeister of Course in Miracles fame. So come with your questions for him and pass it to Dawn.
Well, I'm nothing to announce really. So yeah, just thanks for coming, everybody. And yeah, just come a bit earlier. Just would be good. But
Come a bit earlier next week.
Yeah. It's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So yes, hopefully see you next Monday. That'd be cool. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, we start at 2:00 sharp Eastern time,
Sure.
7:00 British time. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. All right. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Walter.